Hello everybody, my name is Casey and I'm currently a student at the University of Waterloo, and I'm also an executive of digital media at our club at Waterloo called the UWPM Club. So here in front of me we have Max Vu, who is a former PMM product marketing manager at Microsoft and a former project coordinator at Manulife. And so today I'll just be asking Max a few questions and we'll let Max introduce himself and then we'll get started right there.
Alright, thank you, Casey Fu, and I think you already done the introduction for me.
Alright, cool. So the first question I have for Max, who was a PMM at Microsoft, was what do you think are the pros and cons of working for a large tech company? Because I know you worked for Microsoft versus a smaller for sort of startup company, because I know you've also had startup experience before. Can you give any thoughts or takes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that being at Microsoft, there's a lot of very interesting perk to it. First of all, being a very big company, they have a lot of connection with like the ecosystem in Canada. I can give a specific example for my Azure team, because our business, it's the cloud computing business, and it's essentially dealing with the problem of how do we help other businesses get on the cloud and utilize our in-house capabilities with our data center to basically grow the business. And so it means that we need to really care about what's going on in the scene, especially in the startup scene. And some of the things that we do is that we host a lot of events inviting developers from corporations and startup to attend. We also do a lot of work with regional incubators. So for example, I had a chance to visit Creative Destruction Lab and get to sit in some of their session, which was really eye-opening, because you get to see all these startups and hear about how they are thinking about putting their work on the cloud in order to scale and really grow their business. So it's really like a whole package for you to learn that when you're at Microsoft. However, the con is that there's just a lot of things going on at once, and to be really in the zone, to really know what you're doing, it usually take a buffer time of, let's say, 2 to 3 months to really get used to the way things work and understand like what are the area of interest you have, because you can't just be interested in everything they're doing, because besides the cloud there's also other products they're working on too. So that's why it was a blessing in disguise to be there for 8 months, because you definitely need that buffer time in the beginning to really get yourself used to the scene. But it's also it's a lot of work to get started with, and if you don't orient yourself early on, it will get difficult. You get lost later on.
Sick. So thanks, Max. That was an awesome answer. Definitely, I agree. Although, because I also do have experience in both a large tech corporation and a startup, there are a lot of different aspects of what you mentioned. The ecosystem, the amount of connections, and obviously all the events that you get to attend and the stakeholders that you get to interact with definitely does make it much more interesting. Although there is that buffer that I'm actually currently experiencing right now at a large tech corporation.
Where are you right now?
SAP.
Oh, really? Which office?
It's the lab based in Waterloo, so it's actually right next to the university.
Oh, the one north of CIF building, eh?
Yep, right next to CIF. So you can catch a lot of our co-op students working out at CIF right after work.
Including you?
Yes, including me.
Okay.
Anyway, so going back to our next question, I have another. So this one's a little bit more simpler, I guess. So, do you feel like, because you've experienced the PMM position at a large tech corporation, do you feel like there's a lot of career growth in product marketing? And if, for example, how like early on in experience or later on in one's career could one find in the product marketing field at Microsoft?
Yeah, I think what people don't realize is that to get into product marketing, you don't need to have a marketing background. Because for instance, my team, we had like 14 people, a very diverse background from electrical engineering. There's a person who also graduated from biotechnology, which is the degree I'm doing right now. And there's a lot of computer engineers as well. And what I find fascinating is that these people, they came from all kind of background, and when they got involved into Microsoft, they were really just believe in the vision of the company, especially the vision of Satya Nadella, which is to empower people through technology. And so that's what got people really driven and motivated to work at Microsoft. Yeah, and essentially when you get into Microsoft, it's really about being in tune with the story that they want to tell, which is to let people know that with Microsoft technology, you're able to do more and you're able to create values for customers.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Going back to what you talked about for the background, like the diverse educational background everyone has. I actually have a really funny comment. So one of the technical product managers at SAP, the company I work in right now, I think he's late in his 50s and he's worked at SAP for over 20 or 30 years even. He has a bachelor's in, I believe, health sciences or just general sciences, and then he has a PhD in chemistry, and that's basically his educational background. And then there's another guy I remember who I believe he was a product marketing or a marketing specialist, and his background was in English and psychology. Ooh. Actually, I feel like there are a couple people who are like that, so it's actually all over the place. Obviously, like a lot of them grinded their ways and understood the challenges ahead of them before taking on roles like these, but they made it out. They're working hard and they're putting a lot of effort in, and obviously they have a lot of knowledge to gain and pass on to other people, so that's awesome. I just want to ask you specifically related to the PMM position itself, what do you feel like it's like just from your 8-month of experience at Microsoft, and do you feel like the product marketing manager position is worth it for someone who's interested in who's interested in wanting to get experience in the field? And do you feel like it has a great ground of building more experience in other roles later on in your career?
Yeah, I think essentially it's all about the exposure, to be fair, because the role is not really it's not strictly, it doesn't strictly bound you to any sort of you need to do this to be successful as a PMM, because the role actually requires a lot of creativity, and there are many ways you can do things. Like, for example, you could be a PMM who's more focused on reaching the local audience through events, or you could be someone who's more more focused on empowering the internal, your co-workers, and really find ways to work with them to really reach customer directly. So there are many ways, depending on how you look at the position of your team in the market. And it really, the way you define yourself there is really based on, how do you decide to use every dollar in your budget to, generate the value and really achieve the metric that you're after.
And I guess because of that, I can ask another follow-up question. What do you feel like is the main difference, at least from just your experience, between the product marketing manager position and the product manager position at Microsoft?
Well, I think that in Microsoft, at least from what I hear about people, is that between product marketing manager, and then they also have roles such as program manager, and there's also product manager. I guess they're different things. I guess product manager would be, you probably referring to technical product manager, who probably working on possible features. Maybe you've seen OneNote, or maybe new feature for the new releases of Microsoft Office, or perhaps even new features on Azure. And then you have program manager, who are essentially coming up with all these programs such as workshop and events to really get in touch with the community of developers, or let's say on a group of customers that we're after. And then there's product marketing manager, who really there to look at the project as a whole and really decided who are we going after. And yeah, so I think those are the distinction. It really fits into the pipeline. You have someone working on the product, and then you have someone working on getting people to know the product and use the product. So it really depends on what kind of person you are. Are you more interested in building things, or are you more interested in getting people excited about things? So that's the distinction I say from the role.
Cool, sounds good. And actually, so what do you feel like are your main key takeaways from both the PMM position at Microsoft and the Azure team that you worked in? Just the main key takeaways, yeah.
I say the main key takeaway here is that, for me at least, personally, I feel that I began to truly appreciate how important data is for the decision-making process. Because even if you think that Microsoft is such a big company and like, you know, they can do whatever they want, right? But then we're taking things for granted. Like at the end of the day, like a company is a company. You are working with limited resources. You may think that you are a big and powerful company, but you know, money just doesn't come from thin air. And so with every decision made at Microsoft, like they really need to evaluate on, like, you know, with substantial evidence that, you know, this is worthwhile. And from my experience working at Microsoft, they really pay attention to, you know, looking at past data, looking at trends to see how, you know, each of their events is doing, how many developers are they bringing in, or like each of their attempt at making workshop with their partners, you know, how much revenue does it generate. And you know, and right now, like the best way to make decision, either you have to have enough experience to make decision instinctively, but you know, because we as young people, we don't have that much experience, so we need to compensate for that with data. And I think it's crucial that every company that look to succeed at a similar scale, the big guys like Microsoft, need to really think about it. You know, like what are they learning each day through the data they collected. You know, it might be as simple as how many people attended your event, or how many people fill out the survey form, and you know, what's the rating on your workshop. Because every piece of information you get is a learning experience, and you actually need to find a way to extract value from that, or else you're just gonna be collecting a lot of Excel sheet and letting it sit on your OneDrive.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so thank you guys. We'll be wrapping up our first interview with Max today, but hope you guys enjoyed his answers, and hope you guys thought that I put at least more than 10 seconds of effort into making up the questions to ask Max. Maybe I should put more effort in next time.
Bro, you're exposing yourself.
All right. Take care. Bye.